Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. We are a little over a week away from UFC 276 and this card is stacked from top to bottom, and on the prelims we have a very intriguing welterweight fight, Garry versus Gabe Green, and this is going to be my full breakdown and prediction. I've already done some UFC 276 predictions and I'll be doing a bunch more, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also guys, do me a favor and make sure to like the video, and also if you want to support the channel, you can become a member of the channel. Join our members only Discord where we talk about the fights basically 24/7. You get loyalty badges next to your name as well as custom emojis. You can sign up in the link and down in the description. But this is a fight that I'm really looking forward to. I honestly thought that Garry would get a slower progression because I thought they were going to try to build a star out of him. You know, he's always talking, he's the next Conor McGregor, and I thought maybe the UFC would kind of take a really slow route with him. I was surprised when they booked him against Gabe Green. Gabe Green is a legit fighter, and it's not like a massive step up. It's not like Gabe Green is the elite of the elite at welterweight, but Gabe Green is no easy fight by any means. And if Garry can go out there and beat Gabe Green, he's making a natural progression up the welterweight ladder. Obviously, even if he beats Gabe Green, he's not going to be fighting anyone in the top 15, but it will be a solid win on his resume. He's still very early on in his UFC career. And if Gabe Green is able to pull off this victory against Garry, maybe he can absorb a little bit of hype that Garry has kind of generated for himself. You know, I know Garry's talking, he's the next Conor McGregor, this and that. I don't feel like maybe the fans are as aligned with him as, you know, they were with Conor McGregor early on in his career. But Garry, if he keeps winning, there's no doubt about it, he will become a massive star within the UFC just for the fact that he's from Ireland alone. So if you look at the tail of the tape for this fight, Garry's 24, Gabe Green is 29, Garry is 6'3", Green is 5'10". Garry has a 74-inch reach and Green has a 73-inch reach. So a 5-inch height advantage for Garry and a slight reach advantage for Garry as well. So if you look at Gabe Green's record, he has 3 fights in the UFC. He made his UFC debut back in May of 2020 against Daniel Rodriguez, and that is stiff competition. And not only that, he came in on short notice and he had a very competitive fight. I mean, I thought he lost every round, but it was a competitive fight. It's not like he got dominated from bell to bell, and that's really saying something against a guy the level of Daniel Rodriguez, borderline top 15 welterweight. I don't think he's currently ranked, but he's very close to the top 15 of the welterweight division. After that, he fought Philip Rowe. In this fight, he outstruck Philip Rowe. He landed the better shots. He was chopping the legs. He had some moments where he got clipped up quite a bit as well and out-grappled a little bit, but he just landed the more damaging shots, and he was brutally chopping the legs. I think it was in the second round. I thought that this fight might get stopped from leg kicks by Gabe Green. He was just brutally chopping the leg of Philip Rowe, and Philip Rowe just could barely move on it. His most recent fight was against Johan Lanesi. He won this fight via second round TKO. And in this fight, Gabe Green got clipped up quite a bit, hurt multiple times, but he just kept coming forward and he kept the forward pressure. And eventually Lanesi was just not able to keep up with the pace. He was getting tired. Gabe Green clipped him up and then swarmed him, started landing nasty body shots, melted him, followed him to the ground, and TKO'd him with punches. So, you know, a decent win there. You know, I know he got clipped up, but he was able to show he could face adversity, come back and win against Johan. He's 2-1 in the UFC. And his pro MMA career, he's only 11-3. So he's not particularly experienced either. You look at Garry's career, he's 9-0. Outside of the UFC, hasn't fought the greatest competition. He comes in, he gets matched up with Jordan Williams at UFC 268 November of last year. And a lot of people thought this was an easy win for Garry, that the UFC basically gave him Jordan Williams as like a welcome to the UFC. He could showcase his skills. And that was not the case, even though he did get the first round stoppage. Right at the bell, he was able to stop Jordan Williams. But before that, Garry was getting clipped up. His nose was busted up. But I really think Jordan Williams just got too complacent in this fight, and he was swinging wildly. You know, he just seen that Garry was dropping his hands, and he kept clipping him, and he kind of got addicted to it. And he's like, I can stop this guy. He kept pushing forward, throwing nasty shots. and eventually Ian Garry just slid out of the way and landed a picture perfect, I think it was a right hand counter, and just put Jordan Williams down. He was basically out at that point, finished him off. I think it was like 2 seconds left in the first round, so just barely finished him right before the bell. And it was a great debut. It got him some notoriety because it was such a big win, and especially considering he faced a little bit of adversity. He was losing the majority of that first round up until he finished Jordan Williams. After that, at UFC 273 in April of this year, he fought Darian Weeks, and I picked Ian Garry in this fight. I thought it was a tailor-made matchup for him. Darian Weeks is primarily going to try to grapple you, but he's not some elite level grappler by any means. Ian Garry showed the ability to stuff the takedowns, negate the control in the clinch, work himself out of it. And he was just the better striker in this fight. And he just landed. He just peppered Darian Weeks with shots and won the decision. I think it was a 30-27 decision. Just picked him apart. It wasn't super impressive by Ian Garry. Like, it wasn't a great performance by any means. I actually expected him to finish him in this fight, but he wasn't able to. He just kind of, coasted to a victory, outpointed him for the fight. He landed some decent shots, but a lot of the time it just spent grappling, clinching up against the cage. Garry was able to reverse the position a couple times, but he got controlled there a little bit here and there, but nothing that was a glaring weakness from Ian Garry. And when I look at this fight, and I want to give you my official prediction, and this fight is a 50-50 fight in my opinion, because both guys are kind of tailor-made matchups for each other. And let me explain what I mean. Ian Garry likes to slide backwards and counter guys. He likes to look for the perfect punch, counter guys, and put them away. And Gabe Green likes to pressure guys and throw volume. And Ian Garry can sometimes be clipped up by those guys because when he slides backward at a range, he's looking to counter and he persistently drops his hands. Jordan Williams was clipping him quite a bit because he was just throwing, 3-4 punch combinations rather than just 1 or 2 punch. So Ian Garry will slide out of the way, drop his hands, look for the counter, and when those extra punches are coming behind it, they're clipping him up, and that's how he got busted up in the Jordan Williams fight. And you have a guy in Gabe Green who's super durable. He's been hurt multiple times. He finds a way to survive. And sometimes, he'll get dropped. And then I think it was in the Johan fight, he got clipped badly by a right hand, dropped, and then he was able to just pop right back up like he wasn't even hurt. And so you look at this fight and, Gabe Green uses his pressure and stamina as a weapon. He has very good stamina. He has very good volume. He will eat shots to land shots. And then that's perfect for Ian Garry because he just wants to counter you. So you could see this fight going multiple ways. I could see Ian Garry countering him and putting him out. But I could also see Gabe Green potentially TKOing Ian Garry because he's going to clip him up when he goes to throw those 4 or 5 punch combinations. So this is a really tough fight to pick. I don't see Gabe Green. Gabe Green's not some elite level wrestler, grappler, and Ian Garry has shown decent takedown defense against Darian Weeks, against Jordan Williams. So I really don't think that the grappling is really going to play a factor in this. I think there's a chance Gabe Green tries to push him up against the fence, but I think Ian Garry is good enough in the clinch that he'll be able to negate the clinch work and work his way out and go back to the striking. And I think what's going to happen is Gabe Green is going to be walking him down, looking to chop the legs. Both of these guys are actually very heavy on their lead legs, but Gabe Green loves the low kicks. I think he's going to be trying to chop Ian Garry's legs. He's going to be pressing forward, looking for combinations, and Ian Garry's going to be backing up, looking for that one punch KO, looking for that counter. And I am going to go with Ian Garry via second round TKO. But again, I'm 50-50 on this. I think, both guys are very good fighters. I think Ian Garry's the more technical striker. I think Gabe Green is very durable, and also he will just keep getting in your face. And I wonder a little bit of a question mark is Ian Garry's stamina. And if this fight goes to the third round, I could totally see a third round stoppage for Gabe Green in this fight because he just loves to chop the legs. He's throwing deep kicks to the body. He loves to throw the body shots as well. And I could see him ripping to the body early of Ian Garry. And I could see as the fight goes on, I could see Ian Garry fading. He's not particularly experienced, 9 MMA fights. I think that Gabe Green has the advantage with the stamina. I could see that third round stoppage for Gabe Green. But honestly, it's just Gabe Green, in every single one of his fights, he's getting clipped, whether it be the Rowe fight, whether it be the Daniel Rodriguez fight, whether it be the Johan fight. He's getting clipped up badly. And I think Ian Garry is a big welterweight. I think he has decent power. And I really believe, come that second round, I think Ian Garry is going to feel the timing with Gabe Green. I think Gabe Green is going to press forward, throwing, 3, 4, 5 punch combinations. And he's very sloppy with this punching. And I think he leaves a lot of openings. I know Ian Garry does too when he tries to slide out of the way. So it's kind of one of those 50-50 fights. But I think Ian Garry is going to find the chin with a right hand, put him down, finish him off with ground and pound, TKO in the second round after Ian Garry starts to get the timing. I think the first round will be a close fight. I think Gabe Green will land some shots. I think Ian Garry will land some shots. Ian Garry's got great head kicks as well. I could also see him landing one of those. But I think Gabe Green is just too sloppy on the feet. The pressure, he's too willing to eat a punch. And as many times as he's been hurt in seemingly every fight, I think this is going to be the fight where it catches up to him and the right hand of Ian Garry puts him away. But again, I think this fight could go either way. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.